Hi everyone, I have something to read to you. Please forgive me today. I have a lot of things going on, but I really wanted to get this out to you. It's quite important. I think you'll understand why. As many of you know, I was invited by the lovely Bronwyn Anne to Edinburgh the other day to give a talk on technocracy. This presentation is not, however, a blow-by-blow account of that one, for which admirable self-restraint you can thank me later. I do have to reference it briefly, though, to set the scene. I did okay. So there I was, having done okay, about to host a Q&A, feeling disappointed in myself for not having done better, but covering up for it reasonably well by briefly sitting on and then leaping off of a collapsible table. And that's when things started to get interesting. I should prefix this next bit by explaining that having been so courteous as to meet me at the train station and walk me to the venue, Bronwyn Anne, Bronwyn Anne had at one point referred to me as a free-thinking, independent speaker with no affiliations, which I appreciate now as being the most flattering of descriptions. But I had at the time been a bit too nervous to digest it, and I was no closer to that sage reflection while trying to do my best to fold tables in public with my posterior. Anyway, thankfully, a really well prepared and thoughtful lady with consummate timing decided to put me out of my misery by reading a statement from Police Scotland regarding a soon to take place, this is real life, so it's going to happen in Edinburgh soon, um, uh, preemptive planning incident, basically, where all the local agencies, NHS Scotland and so forth, are going to come together to rehearse how they can react to the next major incident that hasn't actually happened yet. Um, I agreed that it sounded ominous and I asked her to read it for me again. And when she had finished, another really well-informed gentleman explained that the incident was associated with Smart EU. At which point I was thinking, thank goodness, in my head for the stupidity of the smart branding, which always gives the game away. And then another gentleman mentioned Mark Steele and his having funded a campaign against Gateshead Council to have the LED lights removed. And that gave me the opportunity to explain how they funded that. And I was just about to take a moment to relax and reflect on how kind, clever, and well informed, authentic the people of Edinburgh were when, bam, someone hit me with a "we should all join our community councils" chat. Now, I want to refer again to Bronwyn Ann's comment about me being a free, independent thinker with no affiliations, and to share with you that having now had a little chaotic time to reflect on it between doing the laundry, having the cat's lacerated head stitched up, helping small children, and making beds, that she's absolutely right. My sole allegiance is to my children's future, and that's why I can make this video. I'm allowed to think and say whatever I want. The person to whom I'm going to refer is very welcome as well to come back and explain to me why my perception of their interaction is wrong. At which point I'll drop the issue because I'm not making this video to be long-term sidetracked down some peripheral avenue. I just want others to have the information should it be of any use. Now, according to a trusted mentor, one of the ways in which change agents operate is that rather than being directly confrontational with you, which is ultimately useless because usually people like me are just telling the truth, they will try instead to steer you and your listeners into groups, activities, organizations that can be or already are easily managed by the establishment. So, for instance, they might suggest that you get mired in the machinations of your local community council. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that community councils can't achieve anything worthwhile. Historically, many a village attribute has derived from the hard work of people on community councils. But the point here is that community councils are not much use with regards to changing at speed the systemic problem of technocracy. So when this gentleman referenced the community council with such ardour and gave an example of how he, as a member of a community council, had seen community councils work together with other community councils to achieve something great in a certain part of Edinburgh, without actually telling us what it was that they had worked so effectively to achieve. My radar was dinging so loudly that my brain couldn't think. Thankfully, the lovely people of Edinburgh stepped in to help me once again, taking the wind and momentum out of his sails by proffering other and better suggestions. And I tried, having fought my way through the fog of, what if he's authentic and I hurt his feelings? To compensate for missing the beat by making a tardy comment about how I certainly thought it would be worth researching how effective community councils actually are. Anyway, the point is not that I handled it with consummate aplomb. I didn't. The point is to let you know that it happened. And when his attempt to get everyone excited about the power of community councils died a death through an impressive dearth of interest, he came in with another giveaway reference to something that annoyingly I can't remember. And because all the Q&A video is now gone or I can't get a copy of it, I can't share it with you. I'll come back to that later anyway. I'm almost certain that whatever he suggests next to me is also something that would render me peripheral and toothless. What sealed it for me, however, was when he came up to me at the end and made yet another suggestion regarding something that I might like to involve myself in, other than that what I am doing. This time it was editing an online digital newspaper. He even made a comment to the effect of how surely I didn't want to have to bother going around giving this talk over and over again. Secret change agent training 101 must be very basic indeed. If I were to tie myself up coordinating a digital online newspaper, I would disappear from your screens and folding tables completely. So wrung out would I be trying to replicate the work of others who are managing excellent alternative news outlets already, and also the people of my tribe who are sharing information like legendary ninjas. So I replied, "Is that something you would like to do?" And he said it was something that he would like to collaborate over. So you can imagine my relief that we were being asked to leave the venue and my coat was not to hand. But hang on a moment, it's not over. This ordinary Edinburgh resident who just happened to come to my talk and make off-the-cuff suggestions about getting involved in utility or impact nullifying activities also just happened to have a pamphlet on him full of QR codes. Oh, in a glossy pouch and everything, which he gave to me, saying that some of his friends had produced it, and he thought that I might be interested in it, which made me wonder as he handed it over why he didn't get those friends to produce the online newspaper, which he had moments ago proffered end-of-line editorial responsibility to me, or indeed, since the pamphlet can also be found online, whether it does not already constitute said online newspaper. Anyway, this is it. I haven't had time to read and analyze it at length, but apparently it's my friend's booklet, and I am not to leave home without it. So I'm going to suggest to you that friends, much like smart, is a word that perhaps they are now going to colonize because of its general wholesale appeal. And I would also like your help to investigate whether these words should be added to Julianne Romanello's list of giveaway vocabulary, just in case you can't see them. They say discover, test, learn, guide, defend, repair, and build. So I note that there is no reference to the names of the editorial or production team. So for something produced by some friends who just happen to have the funding to print it on glossy card and paper with a pouch, it's incredibly formal, and they must have enormous amounts of free time because not only can it be found online, but the one that I've been given is the 4th edition. So they've been at it for some time. But I have never, despite the fact that they've been at it for some time, I have never come across the pamphlet in 2.5 years of attending numerous protests and gatherings. It starts off innocuously enough in the sense that it rolls out all of the complaints that one would expect to hear from a conspiracy theorist regarding the pandemic. Ostensibly, it's a guide to handling challenging conversations with the general public about untested vaccines, the absence of excess mortality, the synchronicity of Western governance, etc. But then it starts to talk about the deep state, which is a distinctly American piece of terminology, followed by having a section on Donald Trump, which makes me think that the training center for secret change agents is cutting corners by producing a one-size-fits-all global dissenters pamphlet without pondering on the fact that no one in Britain really dwells too much on whether Donald Trump is going to save us from the New World Order. It then goes on to say that what you can do in opposition is hope and pray that the dark controllers of our world and their maritime law system are being exposed, confronted, and defeated. And meanwhile, we can explore, learn, and assert our common law rights, getting ready to engage in a brighter future. If all we do is hope and pray that someone else exposes the elite, I think the elite may be very happy with our work. The pamphlet then goes on to explain common law and how our ability to discern, take on board, and act upon good learning. Now, note learning and not thinking. This happens over and over again. Our ability to discern, take on board, and act upon good learning depends upon our state of health in body, mind, attitude, and balanced condition of subtle energies of our being or spirit, all of which slightly new agey speak, including advice regarding deep relaxation, peace, and meditation, should be viewed, in my opinion, with healthy skepticism, as should the insert engage with community councils versus any higher bureaucracies. Local community councils ran by volunteers may be the only structure of governance we can trust or influence to help us end hostilities of this war. And I say insert rather than paragraph or sentence because the statement is actually lacking proper punctuation, and the tense should be run, not ran, as in local community councils run by volunteers, not ran by volunteers. Anyway, which makes the whole thing ring of an attempt to personalize a generic pamphlet with a quick and somewhat shoddy edit. I'm not suggesting that everyone referenced in the pamphlet via QR code is knowingly controlled opposition. You can find this online, so you can see who is included. Anyway, what concerns me is whether the opposition think that they have control over these sources, organizations, and people, perhaps because they were contrived from the start, or perhaps because, despite their good intentions, they have been infiltrated and surreptitiously steered without their knowledge in support of controlled collapse. So I would urge all of these groups, organizations, and people to think very hard about whether they might be directed traffic. I don't say that lightly because there are names in here which I think between us, one or the other of us has regarded as a trusted source at some point, which happily renders us all in the same uncomfortable boat with regards to potentially having to eat metaphorical humble pie and move forward with grace. Now, there may also be good, solid references which are in no way contaminated, who have simply been inserted to give the pamphlet credibility, in the hopes that if anyone sees through the, what to my mind is thinly veiled propaganda, their credibility will thus be smeared. An attempt at a double-edged win for the losing team. Anyway, as I said, I would love to go over the Q&A footage, but it's all disappeared from the online file and I can't get a hold of an uncorrupted version from the people who took it. I don't know why. Schoolboy error, I suppose. I content myself that between us, the people of Edinburgh and I must have done fairly well at handling our change agent, since they apparently don't want you to see the footage. What irks me is that some great comments were made, which revealed excellent real-time evidence and day-to-day experiences of what's going on, as well as there being some excellent ideas about what could be done to start handling things. Probably the best idea was the one derived from Mark Steele's Gateshead Community Council win, which was that if you don't like your LED lights and you have sufficient neighbourhood solidarity, you can stop paying your council tax, pool the money, and take your council to court. In conclusion, I would like to thank the amazing people who came to listen to me talk in Edinburgh for their kindness, their empathy, their support, their good ideas. I even got a few spontaneous and unexpected cuddles, which are always welcome. I would like to suggest to you, though, that you're making sufficient waves as a group to be infiltrated beauty, as we say in Scotland. And I think you should see this as a badge of honour, which you should wear with pride, while being careful to continue to do as you did actually do, and steer away from that which seeks to undermine your massive potential. Thank you for carrying me through. It was such a pleasure to spend time with you. Oh, hi everyone. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry for the kind of comedy of errors throughout. I know you will forgive me. I love you. Take care. Bye.